This episode is brought to you by Mortgage Workflow Partners and the Mastering Encompass series, both for users as well as administrators. You can find out all the information about it over at masterengencompass.com. Also, if you'd like to check out what we're doing on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel using the @MasteringEncompass handle. And make sure you stay up to date on all the information, not just with podcasts, but also video content that we bring to you as often as possible. Now let's get on to the episode. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming. My name's Larry Bailey with Mortgage Workflow Partners, and it is 4 o'clock on December 16th. That is pretty wild. 2025. So we get together as a community, Mastering Encompass, every other Tuesday at 4 o'clock Eastern. I've changed the formatting up. I kind of did a little tester for December, and the initial feedback is good. And so we're going to, hey, Sharon Starkey, go Yankees. Hey, and so we did a format of Ask Me Anything, and the general feedback is please continue. And so that's what we're doing. We're going to keep these as an Ask Me Anything format. I've got the chat over here on my left side. I'm going to try and keep an eye on that. And so if you have any questions at all, 3 ways to get your question out. Number 1 is use the chat. Number 2 is use the Q&A. Third way is to raise your virtual hand here and talk it out. Feel free to share your screen. Just please don't share any borrower sensitive information. Otherwise, it's bad. Don't do that. Anything and everything's on the table. I usually, as we're waiting for people to come in, because if you're like me, you are just leaving another meeting. You did not get a chance to go to the bathroom or grab something to drink, and you're like, oh my God, let me get over to this thing. Good news is these are always recorded, right? And so we can go back to Mastering Encompass, go into the resource center in masterengencompass.com, and you can check out the replays. So 2 things will happen. You guys will stop coming because you think you're going to just watch the replay, and so you won't come and ask questions. Or it'll just be a normal meeting and people will show up and ask questions. So I've got a couple things I wanted to kind of let you know about. If you have questions, load them up in the chat, load them up in the Q&A, or raise your virtual hand and we'll get to your questions. So while I'm waiting for that, to happen, a couple of things happened on my weekend. Yes, I do sleep. I just don't watch TV, and I always am curious about how things are happening. So when I was exploring the native Consumer Connect app that you'll find on the iOS store and the Google store, I stumbled across that I could actually complete a whole application online with a native workflow. So in English, I can click apply. I had one of my test systems up, and I was actually able to click apply. I was able to apply as a borrower through the native iOS app. Why is this a big deal to me? It's a big deal to me because number 1, I don't remember being able to do that in the past. In the past, I was not able to do it at all. Now I can. So now I can have my native iOS app, my home loans app, to my borrowers, and I can put that out into the internet, and they can punch in the 10-digit ID. So that goes to my Consumer Connect site, and then they can apply online on a native mobile app. So one more reason that you don't need a third party for a native mobile app. The second thing was, if you're like Sharon Starkey, she works at Westfield Bank, and we help them actually move all of their applications to online. And one of the things that they did was use a widget site. So earlier this year, you could not use a native iOS app for widget sites. That also has now changed. You can use that native iOS and Google app on widget sites. So if you have a widget site, check it out. If you have a standard ICE site, check it out. But it's super helpful to no longer have a problem with borrowers logging in, having cross-site tracking issues, having expired pages, generally not liking Encompass, Consumer Connect, all that stuff's behind you. So there's that. All right, we got about 20 people here besides me, which is pretty cool. Who's got questions? Those that are just rolling in, 3 ways to ask questions that I can answer, chat, Q&A, or raise your hand and I'll take you off mute. Take your pick. Absolutely no questions. You guys are all. This is why I don't like doing these. Can we talk about SSO and third-party vendors into Consumer Connect? Well, 2 different questions. Angie, do you want to come off mute, kind of a thing? How the hell do I find you now? I know that there's a way. People added to chat. Oh, wait. Where the heck are you? You're not even showing up. I don't even understand. I don't understand why that's not working. So Angie, I'm going to, you're not showing up as an attendee, which is super weird, but you are below. Oh, never mind. There's a whole bunch of other people that are here, I guess. No, I don't know what the hell's going on. So let's talk about SSO first. SSO with Encompass is enabled through, oh, see more. Hang on. I swear to goodness, I sound like oh, there you are down there. It's under Woodward. All right, Angie, you can talk now. Your name is backwards. That's why I couldn't find you.
Oh, sorry about that.
No. Wait, now I have to now I have to take off the thing here. There you go. I can hear you now, Angie.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Great.
So what about SSO?
Well, we just had a meeting with this company that's that wants to set up an SSO for Encompass. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, we have an SSO, we already do that. They're like, no, for your mortgage applications through Consumer Connect. So they would sign into this platform and it would, whatever with Consumer Connect.
Oh, they want to take over. They want to do what the big POS did, which is basically SSO into your Consumer Connect.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what they want to do. So, so what's the question?
How is that done? I mean, what do we have to do on our side?
I don't know. It's whatever your vendor tells you they need you to do. I have no idea.
I mean, do we have to have our consumer side set a certain way? Because do we have to enable
I don't know the
sign-on within?
I don't know the context here. So Christy Thurk seems to know what the heck you're talking about.
Yes.
So connection between your online banking and Encompass Consumer Connect. So
yes, that's what it is.
Okay, Christy, do you want to see if I can find you? Let me see. There, you're normal. Angie was backwards, so here I'll allow Mike if you want to come off and explain it to everybody on what Angie is talking about. Because my expectation is that if you're talking about connecting anything to your Consumer Connect through SSO, what you're really saying in English is that your consumer will not have to have separate credentials to get to Consumer Connect. So what typically it means is if you require their credentials to log into your secure portal and then apply, they want to take that connection that they've already logged in through and pass it to Consumer Connect so the borrower does not have to re-authenticate.
Okay,
Christy, did I do good?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it depends as far as what you need to do. That completely depends on your different providers. So who is your online banking provider?
Q2. It's going to be Q. Well, it's going to be Q2, I think.
Sure. So they're super common with online banking providers. So they've probably set up a bridge with Encompass Connect before. I know I've done that for a couple of clients, and it's pretty slick. It depends on how much you involve Q2. Sometimes people actually want it framed within their online banking, which is possible, but I don't think super necessary considering how much work goes into it with Q2, and they're not the speediest of people.
Well, I think
like many are.
I think we're using another vendor through Q2, but I guess my question is, what do we have to do on our side?
Whatever they tell you to do. That's the short answer.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is you have to have it enabled, right? So we're talking about the Consumer Connect site. So, and I'm going to speak to it like big POS because, we do a lot of work together. And big POS does this same thing. So when the customer logs into big POS, when you send them a disclosure package, like if I do an automated workflow to send the borrower the disclosure package, even though we have Consumer Connect set up, because Big POS is enabled in the system in the client Encompass, the customer doesn't get the Consumer Connect link; they get the Big POS link because of this SSO connection. That Christy makes me feel good that I know what I'm talking about. Thank you, Christy.
You got it.
Where do you work, Christy?
I'm with Blackfin Mortgage Group or
cool.
Blackfin Group.
Yeah,
So
I know Blackfin Group. Okay, cool.
yeah, yeah. Thanks.
Welcome. Cool. All right. Next question. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Angie. Good luck, and may the force be with you. So Lisa says, I have a task question. Can we set up conditional tasks? Lisa, do you want to come on the stage and talk it out? Let's see. Are you backwards too? Where the hell are you? Diaz. Oh my God. I need somebody helping me. Does anybody want to volunteer to be my person who puts people on stage? I don't even see. Did she leave? Lisa, you still with us? Let me know in the chat because I don't see you in the list of people. So you can set up conditional tasks, meaning tasks based upon property, loan type, etc. So I'm going to bring it up on screen and talk about workflow tasks, which is what she's really referencing. And workflow tasks have to do with everything that is something you're chasing. So in English, I got this earlier today. It was on the community, and somebody asked, there it goes. You guys are seeing Google, right? Hopefully. Yeah. So the idea is if you have to have somebody go do something, it's going to be a workflow task. If you need something in the file that speaks to the quality of the loan, that's a condition. And you might say, well, pay stubs, like I need 2 months worth, I need the last 30 days worth of pay stubs. And so, although that's a condition, the idea of, Lisa just came back in, so she must have, we'll see if we can get her back. Let's see here, people. Lisa, I'm talking about your question. If you want to come on stage, I just allowed mic for you. And we're talking about your question of conditional tasks. So what I wanted to kind of lay into here is, first of all, you need to understand your task types. This is a big deal. I still don't have a definitive answer from ICE when the view all tasks is going to be live. The team's working on it. So as soon as I hear something, I'll let you know. But eventually what's going to control what everyone can see is going to be based upon the task type. Task types can be broken down into whatever makes sense for your workflow. In this particular case on screen, we've got loan type task types, and then we've got role-based organized task types, that kind of a thing. But ultimately, when we get into the template, we can go through. So if we do, I don't know why I just hit export. Let me try that again. Thank you. So if we go through and we want to conditionally update this task to have a description that's conditionally changed, we can. So when it comes into having a task based on the need for something, it's not really based on loan type. You're going to fire the task through workflow rules, but your task template, remember this is the template. This is templating the thing that's got to be done. And you can conditionally change all of these sections over here on the right to be dynamic based upon whatever you see fit. So a good example for this I've been really exploring with a lot of clients is using this as a basis for organizing submissions or resubmissions for underwriting. So that if you've got an SLA of an hour, right, for a standard submission, but then conditionally, if it's a purchase closing in the next 3 hours rather, it's 1 minute of an SLA. This is maybe more helpful for resubs, organizing in the resub SLAs, but then you can also organize your defaults for priority and then conditionally change them based upon specific scenarios. So again, remember, these are the templates of the tasks. how you fire those tasks into the loan file is based upon rules, which of course a rule in here can be conditionally managed, right? And so the result can be something very specific. Lisa?
I think that what I'm trying to understand is the difference between in the desktop, the tasks, and in the web. Because in the desktop, I think we set them up originally to just be like a checklist, right? To replace a checklist.
That's what people, that was kind of the original thought in 2003. Yeah.
Right. So now in the web, it doesn't seem as much like a checklist.
It should, so you'll see checklists here, right? And the reason why I created a purchase checklist is because when we work with clients to replace their paper checklists, what we find is the familiarity with what goes into that list of subtasks. And the subtasks you can conditionally create based upon whatever you want. So if you take your desktop tasks and you actually look at how many of these are physically useful,
right?
Take those physically
a lot of them
useful
are not.
ones. A lot of them aren't, right? And so if they're still current and physically useful, turn them into a workflow task template. But then think about when should they really show up and are they part of an aggregated list? So another good example would be that's common is title, right? So title review. So instead of purchase checklist, let's go to the title review. And so when I look at this, I go, okay, there's 8 subtasks. And in those 8 subtasks, we define across the board every single loan that has a review title task to be done. These 8 subtasks are always included because they always need to be there. But what if you have a non-borrowing owner and you identify that, right? Because we see it in the file context tool. And we need to make sure that the non-borrowing owner is appearing properly in the review title tasks. Well, what you would do is use a workflow rule to create a subtask for that in here. So this is your baseline set, and then you can customize your subtasks through workflow rules once you understand why that subtask needs to exist.
And then for the person that's has all of those tasks, how do they see that in there? Do they have to have a different view, a task view instead of a pipeline view? Or when they're in the file, they can see their task list?
Yeah, so when I'm going to show you, obviously, web, right? Because it's just here.
Right.
But when you go into the loan file and now naturally you have your task pipeline, but not everybody. Yeah, I will, Samantha. But not everybody has this, right? You'll see this more in 2026. Right now, it's not a thing for everybody. And you'll also see everybody flocking to this once we get view all tasks here, because then it becomes really powerful. But inside the loan file itself, whether you're doing from web UI or desktop UI, you'll go to your tools tab. So I'll go to the bottom. I've got it up in my nav here, but I'll go to the bottom. So in your tools tab, you'll see workflow tasks. And then that's where in web as well as desktop, you'll see open and completed. The only difference between the web and the desktop UI, when it comes to web, you see the task workspace if it's been defined for the task. Let me go and add the title review. Hang on, I'll show you what it looks like. I think it was this one. I didn't have the subtasks in there. That's why I wanted to redo this. So what's really cool is on desktop, the review title. I want this one. So you see all these subtasks, how they're up here on the left, because they have to be on the left because there's a task workspace assigned to each one of these subtasks. In desktop, these suckers are stretched across because there is no task workspace. So interestingly enough, desktop, in my own opinion, because I'm an old guy, desktop actually gives a better visual UI for subtasks because I get to see all of my subtasks in front of me instead of up and down. But obviously with web, I can do my subtasks here and I can finish that. I can go to this one and I can go, oh, okay, yep, it matches. Great, finished. You cannot do this in desktop. That's why web is far more efficient, but it's a little bit harder to set up because you have to know what the workflow is. Does that make
Sure.
sense,
And
Lisa?
the desktop, yeah, shows you the list, but then you have to go into the loan or into the to the form
I don't know if you're
to see
talking. It's not
whatever.
coming
And
through.
can you hear me now?
All right. Is that me? No, you guys don't hear. Okay.
Hello, hello.
Come back to me, Lisa, if you have more questions. I'll leave this up on screen for just another minute. So Sean, oh, you can hear? Oh my God, it's me. Why is this
What about now?
me?
Can you hear me, Larry?
All right, it's me. Hang on, my speakers got changed. Try again.
Okay, how about now?
Yeah, no, it's me. I don't know how that happened. Sorry.
Okay, so yeah, I was just saying, so in the desktop, yeah, the hard part about that, it's a great view, but once you go into your form, you can't see your task list anymore. So this makes it really nice that you've got your task list there and the ability to just plug in.
I know. Like I literally we're rebuilding a super large correspondent lender, and we're going through all the FTE rules. We're going through all this stuff, and I'm like, it's going to be a workflow task. I'm like, you're going to want. I said the thing that you're telling them to stop for is going to be an open task. Like, don't update the correspondent purchase advice until all conditions are cleared. Like that's an FDE rule today in desktop, and I'm like, that's a workflow task because I want them to be able to update that here in the correspondent purchase workflow. So yeah, it's an interesting conversation that you've got to work through, but until you make it to web UI, when it comes to tasks and subtasks, you can absolutely use it in desktop. You can still see them across here. You can still use these for milestone completion business rules. And you can still dynamically add and update and complete these tasks through workflow rules, regardless of your web or desktop. It's really solid, honestly. As long
Great,
as you know
thank
your
you.
workflow. Thank you, Lisa, for that. Sean says, so tasks are not exclusive of each other. I don't know what you mean, Sean. I don't know if you can. Where are you? Are you foot, Sean? Where the hell are you? Looks like Sean's not here anymore. That sucks. Let me add Denise. So maybe you are there and it's just not showing me on my user interface. There you are, Sean. I see you now. Telling you, I got to get more help for these things. Sean, you're unmuted if you want. So no, tasks are persona. They're driven by access by persona, not by role. So let's go back to what you saw and let's talk about that, because this is a very common misunderstanding. Enhanced conditions are role-based in terms of access and ability to update the status. Workflow tasks are based on the persona through the types. So I know it says like funding here, that's just a choice of a word. This is persona based. This is why I don't like roles that look like people's titles. So hopefully that makes sense. Samantha, oh, I'm sorry, wait, so tasks are not exclusive of each other. Tasks are exclusive of each other. Each task should be mutually exclusive of the other in terms of your task template. It should define the thing that you need to have done, whether it's something to be fixed or something to be fetched. Those are the two angles there.
So the task, Larry, so the task
Samantha,
types.
Larry, would you share the setup for some of these tasks? So yeah, let's just start new, right? And so let's say we wanted to do Samantha's tasks. So Samantha's tasks. And you can just hit apply, it'll automatically generate template ID. If you want to customize this because you're going to be using it for API work, you can. But when you come into the tasks, the first thing I would determine that are always going to be added when we add the task. And the reason why we want this is because you need to understand why this task exists. You need to understand if you're going to have a workspace associated with this general task. You also need to understand if it needs to have a task type, which if you're using on the setting, you always want to have a task type because you need to define who can see the task based on persona, who can edit the task based on persona. Also, if you wanted to override the general settings for calculator of the due date, that's where you would do that. And then if you wanted to manage these tasks, this is the only place in currently in workflow tasks where task group appears is right here. And if you want to manage one of these, you can come over here and you can either add new, edit the group, or delete something in the group if you have this chosen. So if I wanted to edit this, I could, or delete this, I could. There's no other UI place for this. And then besides that, you go through, and as I said quickly a minute ago, you can set your defaults for due dates and assignments and priorities and descriptions. And then you can also create advanced outcomes of those each through conditional statements. I've tested this. I can't find a limit for how many conditions you can create. I'm sure there's a limit somewhere. And then down below, if you wanted to not let anyone add this manually, which means you can only add it via workflow rules, leave this empty. Otherwise, if you want to allow someone to create this manually in a file, whether it's desktop or web, doesn't matter. You can add the role or add a user group that user belongs to define that. And then last but not least is subtasks like we were talking about. Always encourage you to add comments down here. Also, save, do your work. It'll show up here. Samantha's tasks. There's a task group I associated it with. No subtasks. And again, if I want to come over here, I can export that or delete it or modify it. Samantha, how did I do? Did you want to come up? I took you off. If you want to have any other questions, you're allowed to unmic yourself or unmute yourself, rather. Let me know. Let's see. Do these tasks have separate field sets or do they use the same ones at desktop? I don't know what you mean by separate field sets. I don't know what that means. So if you want to give me a better answer for that, Sarah, let me know. I can tell you that these have nothing to do with desktop tasks. Zero, nada. They are not the same. Desktop settings tasks are single objects that are in desktop that don't do anything. I was looking for the reporting part. What do you want to report on, Sarah? Like, what's the use case for reporting? Like, open tasks? Like, tell me more about that. Does anybody else? So while we're on this, like task.completed or task.date added. Gotcha. So you're looking for like metrics of how the tasks are, like what's happening with the task, right? So I haven't seen that in the reporting database in terms of these kinds of tasks being reportable yet. It's definitely something that's on the horizon. Footnote here, ICE intends to, at some point, make all of this available through Encompass Analytics. That was the discussion in the partner advisory board meeting earlier this year. No date, forward-leading statement, don't put any money in the stock market kind of a thing. But ICE knows that there's no such thing in web as reports or dashboards, right? So they got to get to something. And so the idea is to give us these analytics views, which presumably would be that, Sarah. But that information is available through the API side. It's just not available in the reporting database. So let me ask you a better question, Sarah. Typically, the reason why admins ask for that is because you're trying to get a sense of where things are in the file. Is that the concept here where you want to use task completed or task date added to figure out user behavior, or is it for like finger pointing skills? And the reason why I'm asking is because if you're using workflow tasks, they should be as part of the file. And so this is just a constructive way to document what is needed or what it needs to be fixed. And if it's part of the workflow that's a requirement for the loan to be completed, it should be part of a milestone requirement. And so Denise says our managers want to know how users are responding to tasks, leaving them open items. Well, first of all, you shouldn't be adding a task unless it's part of the workflow. And if it's part of the workflow, it's got an SLA. And if it's got an SLA, that's why you're going to have a lot of value in the thing that you don't have yet, which is right here where it says view all tasks. So if you wanted to see all of the review titles that were open across your whole pipeline, you would select the workflow task type that contains that task, and you can see the status of all of those open tasks in the pipeline. That's the value, right? And so that's the dashboard of where are we on our pipeline. So if Johnny Smith file isn't closed yet, well, I want to see all the open tasks for Johnny Smith. Well, I'm going to go into the file for that. If I want to see, hey, how are we doing on our post-closing final docs for recorded mortgage? Or how are we doing on our borrower docs needed for initial underwrite? You know, that's the stuff that we're going to see here. That's how that's going to run. Sarah's like, a definitely point. When something goes wrong, managers want to know who completed a task and why they shouldn't have. Well, again, this is desktop, right? And so desktop's all about this task thing, which is so meaningless. The reality is that right now, what your teams are using is either Excel or Outlook or Sticky Note or Monday.com or something else that's outside of Encompass to remind them that, hey, today's Tuesday. And this thing was due back on May 8th and it's still not done. Or even more importantly, I have to complete the FHA worksheet on August 15th next year, right? For the whatever the file is, the V file. This becomes your day instead of Outlook or all the other stuff I mentioned. So with your managers, everybody else, what they're going to want to see is not what's going on with the file. They're going to say, what's going on with these tasks that are due for this particular task type? And each of your managers will be able to define that, hopefully in a meaningful way, by their task types here. That's why this is really important, because this defines what I can filter for. Exciting stuff. Who knew tasks were going to be so exciting? Wait, there's some people I haven't let in. Such a jerk. Chris and Joe. Oh, it's Joe. Sorry, Joe. I was busy talking. I didn't see it up there. This is why I need help. Paradigm shift. So check this out. Right here, you guys aren't asking questions, so I'll ask you. Who thinks that their team, show of hands, who thinks their teams are going to not use workflow tasks because what they use is way better on their desk, whether it's a sticky note or Outlook or a scratch pad or something else, right? Serious question. I'm going to turn the light on for here. Hang on. There we go. Now I feel like I'm not living in a cave. So, right, 6 people said yes. So out of all the people that are here, 20 people besides me, you're gonna have way more. And the reason why is because they're used to doing this. So when it comes to workflow tasks, the thing that I would guide you on to create the value is what I showed you a second ago. Now I know everybody's not using web yet. I get that. But where I'm leading you down is when they go into a loan file, and I'll use this file, whatever this file is. When they go into the loan file on desktop, they'll be able to see all of their tasks that are open on that file, as well as the completed ones. So whoever was asking, earlier about the managers, Sarah. So Sarah, this is where they would see whose fingerprint did what, okay? And so when they go into a file, you don't have to, I'm going to talk like a processor for a second. I don't have to constantly be nagged by everybody else in my team for what's going on with the asset docs, because they can see that it's due on May 8th, 2024, and they can see all the comments that have been made since then too. Now, if they choose to not look at this, I can yell and be like, dude, it's in the file. Did you look? Right? But you can't have this conversation if you don't put in the work to begin with. So if your teams love answering the same questions over and over again, and if they love having their managers have to pester them for where are things kind of a thing, or to have to keep emails to show proof that they did something, it's all nonsense. It's all CYA crap. And so that's what this does. And when I talk to, when I talk to teams about implementing workflow tasks, I start there. I start with how many times do you have to send out an email of where you are on this file? Or how many times do you have to request something from someone because they forgot you asked them for it? That's the value of workflow tasks. And so, if you guys have, does anybody have any questions on that, or you want to have debate club on that? Tell me what what you're hearing. Not that you're wrong. I just want to hear what you're hearing, so I can give you an alternative conversation or an alternative response. But this is everything. And if you can get your teams into leveraging workflow tasks, even on desktop, just to be like, hey, ask borrower for their asset documents, and it's going to be, I know it says May 8th, but it's going to be in, let's go into that task. I asked for it, and they say that they're going to have it to me here. They're going to have it to me on, this is like crazy, right? 2025. I asked them for it, and they're going to have it to me on the 1st. And then I can add a comment in here. Got a new date. That's it. Done. Now the file's documented. Everybody's notified. And now I know that I've got something coming up on the 1st. And if I do use task pipeline, it'll show up down here. Asset docs. I just clicked on it like a dope, but it'll show up down there if you don't click on it. I think it's going to be great once we get past the people don't like change part. This helps with the Sparkle. You're welcome. Yeah. What I would, again, one more way to help here is there's somebody in your company that's in so much pain that this is a godsend. Just give it to them. Just tell them, say, use it for yourself. Nobody else is even going to see it. Use it for yourself and watch it happen. And then somebody's going to be like, hey, how are you keeping such and such straight? And you're like, oh, I started using workflow tasks. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And they're like, look, this is how it looks. And they're like, oh my God, that's so much easier. You don't have to sell anything. Let the pain sell. Let the pain sell. Okay, that was fun. What other questions? What other questions? I don't see any Q&A. Jill, Renee, Deborah, you guys have your hands up for questions, or you just didn't put it down from the last time I asked you a question? Let me know. Okay. Cool. I don't know. The rest of the stuff that's coming out, I can tell you I've seen the release for 26.1, 26.2, 26.3, 27.1. Oh, for all of you admins who think it's a pain in the ass to keep your testing and production environments updated, totally cool stuff that's coming out. I've seen the demo for it, the beta demo, and effectively you'll log in to a web-based utility as your source, and then you get to pick, I'm sorry, as your target. I might have this backwards. I think it's as your source, and then you get to pick a target for where you want to send information or pull information in from. It also lets you create your backup, and then you can compare your source or your target to your backup to see if anything's changed. And every setting's exposed, both desktop and web. Really cool. All right, Christy says, I'm curious how many people have gone full web. Like I said, we don't have enough vendors that are ready for EPC. I mean, oh, I see. I'm sorry, I missed your question, Stephanie. I'll come back to that. With the appraisal management tool. So Christy, we've got 4 clients going full live end of this month. So it's definitely there. It's definitely ready. It's not a vendor thing, truthfully. It's just getting the workflow nailed down and having companies understand how to do their business in Encompass Web. That's really all it is. Stephanie, has anyone used the appraisal management tool that we released in 24.3? 24.3. Which appraisal management tool are you talking about, Stephanie? I'm gonna see if I can take you off mute. Hang on, where the hell are you? There you are. Stephanie, well, Mike. All right, Stephanie, if you want to take yourself off mic, you can, or off mute, you can. In web. Oh, you mean like in here? Hang on a second. Let me come over here. Is this what you mean? Or do you mean something different?
Yes. Yes.
Guide me,
So,
Stephanie.
can you hear me now?
No idea what you're talking about, maybe.
Can you hear me?
This guy?
Yes. Can
I'm
anybody
assuming you
hear
mean
me?
this one? This guy?
Yes.
Oh, it looks like you can only select one of these 3 companies, first of all. So wait, my chat just weird. I don't know what's going on with it with Teams.
Can you hear
All
me?
right, cool.
Can you hear me now? And you're frozen.
Yeah, strange. So Birchwood, Rigora, CoreLogic. I don't know. Is anybody using this yet? Show of hands. Did my speaker change again?
Yes.
Holy God. My microphone?
Can you hear me now, Larry?
I hate Teams. I hate Teams. I'm gonna flame Teams. I can hear you fine.
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So yeah, there. Okay, close out of that window.
Sure.
We're using the Mercury EPC, and we had an appraisal with information, but none of the fields were filled out other than the order ID. And I didn't know if anybody was using this, and it's just not working.
Well, I can
We
tell
haven't
you-
done order appraisal through it. We don't have anybody on the web. We were just looking at it because we're working with our appraisal team right now, debating if we want to use tasks for them. And we remembered that this came out, and we're trying to figure out how it worked.
Wait a second. So you're using CoreLogic. You're using CoreLogic's the hell's our deal product? Mercury Network. Yeah, that's
Yes,
CoreLogic's
the
product.
new
Yeah.
Mercury.
So on that, that's one of the 3. That's why I was so in here. If I wanted to order the appraisal, is your team going through this spot, which now is not working
Not
for me?
today.
Okay.
No, we don't have anybody out in the web just yet. We were looking at this because they really are after exploring their workflow task based, and so thought maybe they would be a candidate to move over here. And we remembered that there was this management tool. We didn't know how it worked, but we looked at ones that have an appraisal that had been ordered through the new EPC. And we thought that the data that they're pushing back would also push back on this screen. But nothing was there other than the order ID within the loan.
And you're talking about and this was specifically through the EPC version for CoreLogic Mercury Network, right?
Yes.
So,
but is that? I wonder if that's the new one. They have 2 in EPC. There's one that says new CoreLogic Mercury Network, and there's one that says CoreLogic. So I'm wondering if that's the old one.
Well, it's probably only going to be exposed to the companies that, like, if you have new, typically that's a limited release. That's to specific client IDs. So that's probably why I don't see it. But I'm always going to make sure that you are going through the right function over here. and looking to see if the data you're looking for actually has been mapped to that. Right. And so you can see where it gets mapped to. So have you gone through and done those data mapping exercises?
I don't think the new one has that, but let me open it up again.
Yeah, I would check that. Yeah, I'm always, anytime I hear like the data didn't come through. Now keep in mind that in 26.1, in alignment with the MISMO, shit, somebody keep me honest here, the MISMO appraisal 3.6, is that the ULDD? Is that so that whole thing opens up the entire appraisal XML, not just these limited things, and that's coming from ICE. So the expectation that ICE gave us as partners is when we get into that release, which will be March, every single EPC appraisal that comes through is going to have the entire XML node list exposed. And my understanding is we're going to be able to map those fields, those JSONs from the XML into whatever, or these are also called nodes, if you get really specific, into whatever field we want to, if they're not already mapped.
Okay. So the field mapping for their 2.0 release. So I guess they released their EPC a couple years ago and they changed. So the new one is their general release for everybody. But it doesn't look like that. There's not a list of fields and you check, read, write. It just, you have to type in your fields for them. It's different than any other
That's weird.
EPCs that we've set up. But if you look for them, the prefix is new. I always type in the search new and it'll pull up the most recent one. It's because that's what they named it.
This
that
one?
one. Yes. But the data is flowing into the smart client. So I know they're pushing the data and we're receiving the data. It's just not displaying on that appraisal management web tool. And so I didn't know if anybody had used that.
God. So dumb. I don't know. Is the messages, looks like Christy says no field mapping yet. If we're to believe Christy, she was good so far, so I believe her. But there is, it looks like there is some mapping. It's just looks like maybe it's not complete.
Permissions.
Yeah.
I was looking in the wrong spot. Let me see. Did it?
Yeah, so there's definitely something in there, but again, I have no idea how it works. I've never used it personally.
Okay. I will double check this. I was not looking at this spot, so that was helpful.
All right, you're welcome.
Thanks.
All right, clock check, we're good. Microphone check, nothing. Teams did it to me twice. I am just like, so whatever. What do I miss? I know I missed something. ICE. Oh, Sean, is ICE planning on any additional build out for user profiles? Why would you want that, Sean? Wait, did I take you off mute? I thought I did. Yeah, you're able to unmute if you can talk. Why would you want to add photos and stuff on a user account? Curious. Let me know.
For emails.
Yeah, but emails go through notification templates. They don't go off of your local administration settings. Like, what do you mean?
So we can't pull in, you can't merge in like email or the user data into the emails then? If you're sending emails to clients through Encompass?
You mean like a signature block?
Kind of like that, yeah, I guess.
Nah, I think it's a waste of time. You got to remember, you're not a, I don't know, this is just me.
It's not a CRM, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not your Outlook. This is coming from the system of record for your loans, and you want it to be standardized to include as little information that could be used to get caught by spam filters and all kinds of other crap. And then you got pictures on there too. No, I would.
And like Christy just mentioned about pre-approval letters and such too. So we do that for pre-approval letters.
Yeah, but pre-approval letters are a custom print form. You can do that in the custom print form all day long. You can host images that load or unload based upon merge field code.
Yeah.
Do it there.
And we host them through our web domain
Yeah.
currently.
And so let me talk about this. This is really good. So Christy, thanks for that, and Sean, thanks for this. Remember that your notification templates are meant to notify the borrower that there's something for them to be aware of. Okay, so this thing I've been talking about for a while now, this idea of emailing attachments is really bad. And look no further than your own bank or your own financial institution. You do not receive attachments from them. You get notifications for you to log into their secure portal to make sure that nobody can see this information other than the intended recipient. So you're a fiduciary agent for your borrower to protect their financial privacy. It's like serious stuff. And so this concept of sending out pre-approval letters as an attachment via email, no bueno, it's no good. You want to make sure that, and this is where somebody's like, yeah, but it's bad to make somebody log in to get something. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe, but send that through your CRM or your POS if that's really your thing. But don't send it from your LOS. Your LOS should drive borrowers to your secure portal for them to pick up something that they're supposed to retrieve. That's the reality.
We do send our pre-approval letters through Encompass.
Yeah. Well, the notification
template
would say, yeah, the notification template would say on here, not in this one, but in desktop, there's an important update to your loan file. Now, I've told in prior meetings, I've said, use a custom field on your notification templates because you only have one. So use a custom field on there to basically modify the contents of that field. And it's not hard, but it's not very pretty, to create the text block of what that thing is. If you want to use the same template, but modify the contents based upon your action. Again, this is where some people are really upset over the way it's created, because you're used to creating HTML email templates that are defined, and you can do it by branch or by brand, and you want to create these logos. And I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just letting you know that for what I can do right now, I can dynamically change that entire notification template using using workflow rules to do document requests or document sends straight through using the desktop notification templates that you find under the HTML email settings in contact setup from desktop settings. You can modify that using a custom field to change the entirety of that messaging frame. You just can't put pictures on there because it's you can't dynamically change that. So that.
Can you expand upon what you just mentioned about the framing all that in?
Yeah, I can.
I'm missing something, but I think I know what you're saying, but I'm kind of missing.
So you know how like down under here,
because I will say we have a really nice HTML template, well, several of them for a lot of disclosures and such, and I'm wondering if I'm going to lose that.
Well, so like here's what's going on, right? This is your HTML, and there's some companies that have document requests that are like branding specific for like the organization it's being requested from. If you've got multiple organizations or multiple branches or whatever, some people get there'll be like 50 of these things, and it's problematic from a support perspective, and the user can pick the wrong one. It's just it's real trouble. So notification template solves for that by only allowing for one workflow per recipient. So if we go through and we want to pick out a workflow of request send documents, if I pick borrowers, I can't have a separate workflow. Sorry, I can't have a separate notification template for the same workflow going to the same recipient, because that would be programmatically duplicative. So what I can do is I can change everything here dynamically with custom fields, custom field calcs. I can put that information in here so that this information is dynamically changed based upon how this gets activated through a workflow rule. The only thing I can't do is I can't change these pictures dynamically because they're pictures. Is that making sense the way I'm explaining it?
Yes.
So this is where a lot of people get stuck and they're like, shit, I can't, like, I want to send out this one for branch A and I want to send out the other one for branch B. And I'm like, yeah. And I want to put the logo for brand A here and the logo for brand B there. I'm like, I totally get it. And I definitely see the need for that. But for today, what I would tell you is ditch the logo, and just put something on there that's text that makes sense. Remember, this is like a stupid notification template. Please don't make this a marketing event. This is not your marketing tool. This is a simple notification template to the borrowers. It says, Larry from Johnny Smith Mortgage needs you to log in to go do something, whether it's to pick up a pre-approval letter or to upload the requested documents or to check out your appraisal, right?
So from a user perspective, inside of our company, I mean, not a borrower user perspective, I feel like an LOS more and more should kind of be during the loan process, should kind of be a marketing kind of thing too, to the consumer.
If you want to do
the branding aspect is important.
Yeah, so if you want to do that, that's where you're going to come down here and you're going to drive these company status online, which I don't have set up here, but your company status online is how you can create specific marketing messages to drive borrowers back based upon field change, milestone change, or status. I forget what the other one is. See if I can find that really quick.
Does anybody use that?
Some people do.
Oh,
yeah, some people do. But the idea is you have to drive them to Consumer Connect, which, if you're not using Consumer Connect, then you don't. Company status online. Yeah, like this guy right over here, right? And so your email templates, you can define these as much as you want, right? And so I can put anything on it, including logos, including pictures, whatever. I can define that how I want. And then my templates, I can go through and create a trigger that says, milestone document receipt, field value entered. And then you're like, all right, well, what field value? And then what I say is on here, some people usually do milestone being finished because it's a little bit easier. But otherwise, you could do a field value being entered. And so if I wanted to do field value, I'm just going to do 4,000 just to kind of prove a point. But when there's a value in that field, that's when this gets triggered. And so how you do that, whether it's an underwriting approval date or something else that's date specific, you can do it. Or you can do document received. So like appraisal, right? Hey, your appraisal's in. And you send out like, hey, your appraisal was received. Everything looks great. And it goes to the borrower or non-borrowing owner. So that's how you drive people through. And then that email that you grab here, this email template, is what's here. And then again, you can define that in a pretty way if you want.
Okay.
That help, Sean?
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it, bud. Yeah, it's definitely new territory. But the idea is that if you're relying upon your LOS for reminding folks that you're important to them, I'm totally down with that. But I would always encourage that experience to be a custom letter update with all your pretty logoing, everything custom print form that you send to the borrower as an update. And the reason why I suggest that is because people lose emails all the time. But if you have it in one centralized place in their portal, provided you don't take access away, that's where it'll be. And you don't have to worry about somebody stumbling across their email and reading through their email and discovering something that's sensitive. Just saying. It's real. All right. Well, we started off slow, but we got some momentum, and my technology obviously sucks because it changed my mic and speakers twice on me. So I'm very sorry about that, but hopefully this has been worth it for you. Hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season, whatever holiday you celebrate, and Happy New Year. And we'll see you next time. See you in the community. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. Bye for now.